welcome to my stamp studio. Tonight we are going to be featuring our beautifully penned paper from our Sale-a-bration catalog. Our Sale-a-bration runs from August 3rd through September 30th. And the product that we'll be featuring this week is our beautifully penned designer series paper. If you don't have a demonstrator or you don't have a Sale-a-bration brochure or a July through December mini catalog, please let me know and I'd be happy to send one. I will include it in the link below, so you can just go down below in the description and you will find links to all the products used in this video, as well as links to sign up for my email list so you get notified of any specials going on or of my upcoming classes. And also, if you haven't already, go ahead and take a minute to subscribe to my channel. That way you'll find new videos that I post, and if you click notify, you will be notified every time I upload a video. And it's just notified when you're on YouTube, it'll tell you. So let's go ahead and get started. The first card that we're going to be doing tonight is going to be using our Nature's Harvest stamp set, and this is in our July through December mini catalog. And we'll also be using this awesome paper, and this is the beautifully penned designer series paper. So these are the patterns that you get. You get 12 sheets, you get 4 of each one, and they're double-sided. So this is one side and this is the other side. So in this little series I'll have 3 cards, so you'll be able to see 3 cards, and you can go to my website and download a free PDF that has all the materials and the supply list used to make this card. The card that we'll be making, I actually have 2 of them already made. We'll be using our basic borders dies to make this little kerchief piece, and we'll be doing the spotlighting technique. So let's go ahead and get started on these. I'm just going to move a couple things out of my way. And this is the basic borders dies that we'll be using. So we're going to actually be using this one tonight. Really a fun set. It's kind of overlooked in the catalog, but it is a fun die set to use. And we'll also be using our layering circles, and we'll be using this small circle here. So I'm just going to set those aside. In your supplies here, this is a piece of basic gray. It is measured 4 1/4 by 11 inch. We're going to go ahead and score that at 5 1/2. So let me bring in my scoring and trimming tool. I'm going to go right to 5 1/2, and I am going to make sure that I use my light blade here, which is our scoring blade. So just give it a score, and then we'll come in with our bone folder here and give it a good press. Just like that. Okay, that's going to be our base. We have a piece of basic white measured at 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be for the inside of our card. I'm going to move this base out of the way for right now because we're going to be doing our stamping and everything else. So let's get started on our stamping. So I have a piece of, actually let me show you, Daffodil Delight. This is measured at 5 1/8 by 2 7/8, and our basic white here is measured at 5 by 2 3/4. I'm sorry, this one's 5 1/4 and this one's 5 1/8. I will have all the dimensions in the PDF available for you to download. All right. Sorry, I just had to trim this piece down really quick. All right, the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of paper here to do some stamping on. Just need to find where I have a scrap here. And the reason I'm doing that is I might accidentally go off the edges on this. Not that I'm planning to, but it could happen. So I'm going to pull in our flower here. And I'm going to use my large block. And so this is I think it's the E block. It's a clear block. I'm going to go pull in my Memento Tuxedo Black. I am using Tuxedo Black because I am going to be using my Stampin' Blends, and those are alcohol based, so we want to make sure that we're using this stamp pad so it doesn't smear when we're coloring. So I'm going to stamp this right in the middle. I'm going to go towards the top because I want to stamp that sentiment at the bottom. Okay, just like that. Go ahead and clean that off. Oh, that didn't clean very well. Okay. I'm just trying to scoot on the other side of my camera here so I can clean that. All right. I'll clean those later. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, instead of good luck, I'm going to use thank you this time. Just because every once in a while you need a thank you card. So I'll put thank you on the block. Open the memento again. I like to stamp it off on my scrap paper to make sure I have my sentiment going the right direction. I'm going to stamp it a little bit lower on my cardstock here because I'm going to tie a piece of ribbon around that later, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to be covering up my sentiment. Right. So I've got that done. I'm going to come back in on a piece of scrap white here, and I just have a small little piece, and I'm going to restamp my flowers. Alright, and this time I'm just going to turn this, let's see, I want to make sure that I'm getting this whole flower on there, so we'll just stamp it here. Alright, I just want to have a piece that's going to be big enough so when I run it through the die cutting machine, I can get that image. Alright, so I can cover that back up. And the only thing that we're going to be coloring actually is this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my blends. So I've got my light soft suede, my light daffodil, my dark daffodil, and my old olive. So we'll start with the old olive here and color these stems. Now I'm pretty much going to color this whole image here, both images. That way, when I go to die cut my circle, I know that everything's going to be colored. I'm going to take the soft suede and color in right here. Now again, I know that my circle is pretty small, so I don't have to worry about coloring that one in. And I'll come in with my dark daffodil. You can start with your dark color or you can start with your light color. It does not matter. I'll get some of these here. And now I'll come in with my light and pull that dark into the areas I haven't already colored. So that just blends in that light and dark together, so there's not a stark difference between them. And then I'll do this one over here. Now, if you go outside the lines a little bit, that's okay. You can take a color lifter and lift some of that color up. I kind of did right there, but it's so close to that black, I don't think it's that big of a deal. All right, so we can move those off to the side. We're done with those. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in our die cutting machine now. So I'm just using our mini die cutting machine. And here, I just need to grab my cutting plates for it. So this is our little mini die cutting machine. I know it's kind of taking up the whole screen here, but the sides fold down and it's only about 3.5 inches wide there. So it doesn't take up a lot of room and it fits nicely on your table. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this designer series paper here, and this should be cut to 5 1/8. I'm sorry, 5 1/4. So I'll cut this one to 5 1/4. That's the same length as a daffodil. And now, when I lay it on my cutting blades, I'm going to put this edge right near the edge, not all the way, but right near the edge. And it's okay if it's not perfectly lined up. It doesn't have to be. So I'm just going to put it on there like that. So get out my plates here. We'll make our little cutting sandwich. And I'll run it through. And sometimes it's a little challenge to get started if you have a piece of paper on your table. go. And this is a pretty lightweight machine. Maybe 2 pounds, I don't know, somewhere in there. All right, so we've got this one piece and then this piece. So I'm just going to throw that away. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and I'm going to die cut my circle here. So that's going to be our spotlight technique. So the spotlight technique, you're just really coloring one part, and I'm going to bring in part of the other flower, part of that stem, and then you line it up on the black and white image that you stamped, so it spotlights just a certain portion of your image that you stamped. There's a number of ways that you can do this. This is one of the easiest ways I find. You could use a punch as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a circular shape. It could be any other shape too. Just make sure that you have enough room on it. Oops. This is the piece I wanted to bring in. All right, we can move this scrap out of the way. And we're going to be placing it just like this, right over there, making sure that we're lining it up with the other stamped image, just like that. All right, and we'll be using a dimensional to adhere this. But I want to get all the other pieces assembled on my card first, and then I'll put that one on. So let's go ahead and bring in our card here. We'll have to come back and stamp our base in just a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay my designer series paper on my basic gray. And I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive here, just because I know that if I need to move it, I have a little bit of wiggle room time if I don't have it exactly where I want it to be. All right, so I'm just leaving a little bit of the edge there and making sure that the amount above and below are the same. And then I'll press that down. I'll go ahead and adhere my daffodil. Also giving it a little bit of layer on the top, and it should meet the top edge and the bottom edge there. Okay, and have a little bit of a wiggle room. And what's nice is this card will be opening this way. All right. Before I adhere this one down, I am going to bring in some ribbon, and I'm using the white glitter organdy ribbon, so it's got this iridescent little shine to it. And I'm just going to tie it right above our thank you there. So I'll tie a quick little bow. And this is kind of a stiffer ribbon. Oh, I probably should have did give myself enough on that side. All right, there we go. That should be good enough now. All right, so got that piece in. And the glitter does kind of come off, so you're gonna get some glitter on pieces. It's gonna happen. You'll probably walk out of your stamp room with a little glitter on your face. All right, and just tie the this just doesn't want to tie. All right, there we go. And I don't want a really large bow, so I want to make sure that I'm pulling it kind of small here. Get that out of the way. Give it a good tug. And we'll pull back a little bit more on that tail. There we go. And we'll come in with some snips. And just give that a good snip. There we go. All right, and now I'm ready to adhere this to the front of the card. So I'm just, again, using the liquid glue. You could use Seal, you could use Seal Plus. I ran a little bit of adhesive on the ribbon there just to make sure it stays in place. And then I've got a little layer going all the way around here. Just rub that on. Now I'll take a dimensional on the back of my circle here. Peel that backing off and line that image up. There we go. Oh, not quite lined up. So as long as you don't press down really hard on that dimensional, you can lift that up. There we go. All right, so that's our card front. I am going to add a little something to the card front here. I need a little embellishment, and I'm going to go ahead and use our little bee trinkets. And I just need to pick those up here. So I'm going to grab the little bead trinkets. Aren't these cute? So we'll go ahead and bring in our glue dots here. And I'm going to take the little bee right to my glue dot. Put them on there, give it a good press. Then I can lift it off. And I can put this right on the front of my card. All right, let's get the inside stamped and then we'll be done with our card. So for the inside, I'm bringing my scrap piece of paper again. And I am just going to stamp a flower in the lower corner. So here we go. And I'll color it in with my dimensionals. Our Stampin' Blends. This is why I didn't want to adhere this in there right away, because those Stampin' Blends kind of bleed through the back, and that's normal. But I didn't want it to bleed onto my card base. And I probably wouldn't have noticed with a basic gray card base, but it's a good practice to get into by not doing that. Okay, so we'll bring in our blends again. So we've got our Old Olive. We'll color that stem here. Now you can make this a little lower if you wanted. I don't know how much I'm going to have to say in here. I find it very calming to color with blends because they're so smooth and I don't have to worry about streaks in them. If I wanted, I could add the dark just to give this a little more depth and dimension, but I'm okay with it not having that. All right, we'll take our soft suede and do our flower centers here. Now you could come in with smoky slate as well. I just happen to want to use soft suede. All right, so this time I'm going to come in with my my light daffodil. So I'm going to start with that color first. And I'm not being perfect on it. I'm leaving some white because I'm going to come back in with that darker one to blend it. Oh, I'm going to do that one all dark. All right, so here's our dark. So I'm just going to start pulling that in. It's going back and forth and then getting all the little areas that I didn't do before. So if there's some little white areas, I'll just go back in. And this one we'll just do all in the dark. There we go. So now I'm ready to adhere that to the inside of the card. Now if you'd like the supply list and the measurements for this card, it will be available on my website shortly after the video is posted. All the supplies also used in the card will be listed in the description below. And please subscribe to my channel. Let me know how you like this. Leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. And here is our card. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me and learning how to use the beautifully penned designer series paper from our Sale-a-bration catalog. Thanks and have a great evening.